evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight we're going to start the week by doing something we rarely do, which is bombarding you with political cliches. We usually leave that to MSNBC, but we're going to tell you what you already know, which is midterm elections are always and everywhere a referendum on the party in power. That's true. That's true this year too. But this year they are not just that, they're more than that. In just 22 days, Americans will have the chance to render judgment on the unprecedented moral atrocities our leadership class has committed over the past 2 years. The shameless lying, the arrogance, the stupidity, the total incompetence, the unfairness, the relentless and vicious racism toward the majority of the American population. All of which together amount to, yes, a tax on democracy itself. If you believed in democracy, you would not act like this. No one has ever run a developed country with this degree of recklessness. The question is anyone ever going to be punished for it? That's what's really on the ballot this November 8th. So for Republicans, the election should be easy. Not that you should ever for a second underestimate their ability to screw it up anyway, they may. But the template for success is right in front of them. Just run against Joe Biden. There may be people out there who feel sorry for Joe Biden, but there's absolutely nobody who thinks or can argue with a straight face that he's doing a good job, because he's not. So just say that. You're not the Biden candidate. Run on the economy, end crime, homelessness, it's everywhere, have you noticed? Fentanyl, and on what Joe Biden has done to our southern border. Stick to the obvious issues and you're probably going to win. How could you not? Surveys show that voters care most about inflation, jobs, and immigration. As it turns out, those are exactly the issues, according to a recent Harvard-Harris poll, that voters also believe are the top priorities of the Republican Party. So this is a moment Republicans rarely see. It's a moment where there's total alignment between their priorities and the priorities of the electorate. Again, that doesn't happen very often. That same poll, if you dig a little deeper, shows that voters believe Democrats, by contrast, are fixated above all on January 6th. Oh yeah, January 6th, the QAnon insurrection. January 6th, where Nancy Pelosi's cops opened the doors and let protesters walk inside, all of whom are now nevertheless classified as dangerous felon revolutionaries, except for Ray Epps, who for some reason is still a good guy. Okay, Democrats, that's the story they're running on. Lots of luck. January 6th might make for a spicy CNN segment, but it is not a governing platform. Who's voting on that? Nobody. At least one candidate seems to understand that. It would be John Fetterman, actually. Fetterman may have brain damage, but he's one of the very few Democratic office seekers who has bothered to explain what he might actually do if he's elected. Here's John Fetterman at a recent event getting specific about his governing platform.
Send me to Washington, D.C. to take on, to make sure I push back against work to work.
Do you hear that? If the voters of Pennsylvania send John Fetterman to Washington, Fetterman promises, quote, to push back against work to work. No more work to work. You can hear a man in the audience cheering as Fetterman says that. That man gets it. He knows how badly we need to fight the hidden epidemic of work to work. This work to work pipeline is literally killing people. And John Fetterman will put an end to it. No more work to work. So there's that, the anti-work-to-work platform, whatever that might be. The other thing that Democrats are running on, the thing they believe we need a lot more of, is, of course, abortion. And you can see why. As Yahoo News dutifully reported the other day, America is facing a diaper crisis, and the anti-abortion movement may not be helping. So really what you have here is a classic demand-side approach to the ongoing diaper and formula shortages. Just don't have kids, Dumbo, and then you won't need diapers. You also won't need a house, or a car, or a raise, or extra food, or money for college tuition. It's pretty simple. When you get to this point, and this point is a place where the economy is so completely distorted that only Democratic donors can still afford to have normal families, when you get there, the solution's simple. Don't reproduce. Childlessness is the cure for the economy they created. And that's why abortion is so very important, especially now. We don't have enough diapers. How dare you? It's so important that Democrats say they want to eliminate the filibuster to bring back more abortion. Once again, here's John Fetterman.
My name is 51st vote? First, rid of the filibuster. So, right next, codify Roe. Abortion is the ballot now in November.
So I don't know if you saw this, but it was great. Oh, yeah, our president's going to get a little ice cream. We don't want a little cone. Who wants a cone? Mr. President does. So,
What flavor did he have? I'm interested in that. They cover it every time he eats ice cream. What flavor did he have?
I didn't see it.
Oh.
I didn't see it. A
Falling down on the
reporter, believe it or not, in Portland, Oregon, while he was at a Baskin Robbins, asked,
Guy eats more ice cream than any other human, and that's the only thing I like about him. He likes ice cream. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
have in common with Joe Biden.
yeah. So anyway, he was asked, are you concerned at all about the strength of the dollar in the midst of rising inflation? Here he is, his answer.
Our economy is strong as hell, the internal. Inflation is worldwide, worse off everywhere else than it is in the United States. So the problem is the lack of economic growth, sound policy in other countries, not so much ours. That's how it's worldwide inflation.
Okay, so he's not concerned about any of this. I'm not concerned. He's concerned about the rest of the world. Our economy is strong as hell. Let them eat cake or ice cream. I mean, look at the ice cream. It's right here. Plenty of it. 32 flavors. What's wrong with people? Come on in and get some ice cream. Okay, all right. Then he says inflation is worldwide and that's impacting everyone. Yes, it is worldwide. The question is, why? Probably because, why? Everybody is in massive debt. And when I say everybody, I'm not talking about you, even though you might be in massive debt. I'm talking about the sovereigns are in massive debt. Massive debt. Like the kind of debt, no way out, no way out. That kind of debt.
Yeah, everyone else is doing terribly because they all imitated the Biden policies and the Biden approach to the past couple of years.
Right, and not only the Biden policies, but they also mirrored the Obama policies of let's bail everybody out.
How did we win in previous examples of this? We went the other way.
Yes.
When everyone was trying socialism and communism, we said no capitalism.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We've won over and over again because we did the opposite of what all these other terrible governments wanted to do across the globe. This time we did the same thing.
Yeah.
How's
Yeah.
it working out?
It's working out really well, or not. Let me just show you. Okay, so he's eating ice cream. He doesn't have time to talk about the dollar and the relation to the dollar with inflation, because that'd just get messy. He's got a napkin for ice cream, not for questions like that. So here's the Biden economist talking about what their plan is to make sure that we're as strong as hell. Cut to.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and a lot of Americans are curious, when the so-called Inflation Reduction Act will really start to bring down inflation.
Curious?
So the many parts of the bill will start to take effect next year. For example, there are tax credits for energy to help people weatherize their homes and also bring down other forms of energy costs. So we are focused on helping to make that transition to clean energy in a way that brings down energy costs for families.
Oh, thank goodness. So next year, if you want to spend money weatherizing your house, you'll get a tax break. Now, if you don't have money to spend the money, well, then you can't earn the money. But we all know it takes money to make money, right? So come on, people, work with me here. You got some weather stripping coming. But also, let's not forget the coffee makers. Cut 9.
Same way with what's in the Inflation Reduction Act has to do with your ability to be able to get tax credits for buying, if you need a new coffee machine, a new washer, a new refrigerator,
my
you buy an efficient refrigerator, efficient coffee machine, you get a tax credit for it. Costs you less money. It's estimated average family will save $500 a year as well on just that. There are also tax
Wow.
credits for weatherizing your home.
Oh,
Put in new
that's all.
windows and keep the
and buy new
door-
windows.
the door that
Oh my!
doesn't-
Stop! I can't even imagine the savings we're going to have if we bought a new washer and dryer, a coffee machine, and a refrigerator, and they were the right kinds. The average family could save $500. Oh my gosh! Why are we all not out right now buying refrigerators, washers, and dryers? And then listen to this. If you buy a new front door that doesn't let the cold air in, you're going to save even more. And if you weatherize, all you have to do, you go to Home Depot, they've got refrigerators, they've got washer and dryers. Okay, wow, these guys were open during COVID too. That's another story, I'm sure. They got washer and dryers. They have coffee machines. They also have refrigerators, and I'm sure the kind that you could get a tax break for. You could also buy the weather stripping and a new front door. Think how rich you're going. It's ice cream for everybody. It really is. It's ice cream cones for everybody.
We certainly are on the precipice of caulking ourselves into prosperity. And at any moment, that's going to kick in.
I tell ya.
People don't understand that
Yeah.
it's right around the corner.
Now-
I mean, like, when you're spending money
Yeah.
on a washing machine, on a dryer, on weatherizing your home, people do realize that you're spending money, right? Like, if you have too little money now and you decide to go out and buy all these things, and then in this weird world, we're going to say you've saved $500 on it, but it's
Yeah.
instead of spending $5,000, you're spending $4,500, right?
Right.
So that's not the way you
Can I-
save money.
Right. See, this is something that I've tried when I was younger. I tried to use this with my wife. Yeah, but honey, it's on sale.
Right.
So we're saving money.
That
and she would
Ferrari
say,
is on sale.
Right. She'd say, no, it's still money we don't have. And I'd say, yeah, but we're saving money. And that's why I don't have a Ferrari. Okay? So you never save money. I don't care how much the Ferrari is on for sale. You still have to buy the Ferrari. Oh my God. Okay, now I do have some good news. We're not talking just weather stripping, okay? I am so glad to hear this. President Joe Biden has signed Congress Consolidated Appropriations Act 2022. He signed it into law, and that has provided funding for a 5-year research plan to be coordinated by the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Now, I believe this is the same guy that was just sanctioned, or the same woman that was just sanctioned by the National Academy of Science for lying, but don't worry about it. They are going to look into ways we can dim the sun. So for global warming. And they've got a few ideas that I think it's worth the millions and millions of dollars, because I don't think, some people would say, you want a what? That could turn out horrible. I mean, you want a what? But I would say we're capable of knowing all of the ramifications of this. So, in other words, what we can do is we can put stratospheric aerosol injection in about 12 to 16 miles above the Earth. And they say that will accomplish what volcanic eruptions have otherwise achieved in blocking the sunlight. And that will temporarily cool the Earth. Now, don't worry about vegetation. Don't worry about anything else, okay? In 5 years from now, we're going to be pretty sure. Now, they don't absorb sunlight. And so it's like a giant mirror. It just bounces it. You are rubber. I am glue. Okay? Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. Something like that. It's, okay. Anyway, the yearly cost of the program to cool the Earth by 1 degree would be $10 billion. And that's been corroborated by the Gates Foundation. So we have that. You know, and we
has it been corroborated by the Montgomery Burns Foundation?
I think so. Now, they say that there might be a few problems with this. It might do some really bad damage that's unforeseen to global or regional climate, and that could affect the seawater temperature or the precipitation patterns, or it could make the ocean get very, very acidic. But they say it would come down for $10 billion. So we've got that. The other things we're thinking about doing is just cloud seeding, adding particles to the lower atmosphere to increase the reflectivity of the low-hanging clouds over bodies of water, and that brings some of that temperature right out. Or there's another idea, just kind of to get rid of the clouds, because then the heat won't be trapped.
Yesterday, all the big television networks interrupted their regularly scheduled programming for the big season finale of the January 6th hearing, which, of course, I watched so that you don't have to, and it seemed like a rerun of the last dozen or so episodes. They did air some new, never-before-seen footage, however, which I'll show you in just a moment. But even CNN is starting to finally realize that nobody cares.
What is the top issue for Americans at this point, and who is trusted on that? The top issue for Americans at this point is not the January 6th committee hearings. It is not Donald Trump. It's inflation, according to 33% of Americans. That is the top issue. And who is trusted more on the issue of inflation? The margin right here is absolutely huge. Republicans are trusted over Democrats by 19 points, and that is why, at this particular point, Republicans still lead on that generic congressional ballot.
Something strange is happening, however, because it appears that even CNN is tired of hearing about January 6th. What a surprise. It's literally the only thing that they report on every day for the last almost 2 years. This is a real article. You know me, your trusted media analyst. I had to double check this. I thought, maybe it is a parody. It's actually real. Voters may care more about the cost of French fries than January 6th compelling new evidence. Of course, they did air some never-before-seen footage, which I'll show you right now, of Nancy Pelosi calling for violence.
Secret Service said they have dissuaded him from coming to Capitol Hill. They told him they don't have the resources to protect him here. So at the moment he is not coming, but that could change.
Nobody comes, I'm gonna punch him out. This is
Oh,
my
no,
moment.
I would pay with you.
I've been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm gonna punch him out, and I'm gonna go to jail, and I'm gonna be happy.
One of the most bizarre and really kind of hilarious conspiracy theories to come out of the mostly peaceful protest that day is the one about how Trump protesters supposedly smeared poop all over the Capitol because somebody saw that there happened to be mud on the floor that the protesters had tracked in. This is from the New York Daily News, making this insane claim. And this is a widely spread claim as well. I don't know if they actually addressed it during the hearings. They probably did. The elitists in New York and Washington, D.C. apparently have never stepped foot on grass. And they don't know that even during the wintertime, especially during the wintertime, when the snow melts, grassy areas can get muddy. And some of the protesters got mud on their shoes, and then it got tracked into the building. But since CNN and the Democrats are finally starting to realize that nobody cares about January 6th, and they're tired of hearing the media constantly talk about Donald Trump 24/7 every day for the last almost 2 years, they've settled on their final talking points as the midterm approaches.
Republican wins, inflation is going to get worse. It's that simple.
Oh, the economy's going to get worse if the Republicans win. Here's Operation Mockingbird asset Chris Hayes over at MSLGBT.
I feel confident in predicting that if Republicans win control of one or both houses of Congress, they will do everything in their power to sabotage the economy, to best set them up to retake the White House in 2024.
It's not just going to get worse because of Republican policies. They're purposely going to sabotage. Speaking of the economy, Jim Cramer is basically the Brian Stelter of financial news over at CNBC, the fake financial news network. And this is what he had to say back in March. This is a real headline again from CNBC. Jim Cramer, I'm shocked that they haven't taken this down. Jim Cramer says that the bear market is over. Well, let's take a look at that. Was at the end of March he made that comment, and the S&P was at about 4,500, and now it's, well, about 1,000 points lower. Jim Cramer is the same guy who urged his viewers over at CNBC not to sell their Bear Stearns stock, which was one of the big banks that collapsed during the 2008 financial crisis. Here he is just literally less than a week before it collapsed.
Okay, Peter writes, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. Look, if there's one takeaway other than the plus 400 something, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. I mean, if anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. That's just being silly. Don't be silly. Bear money's back after the break.
In other news, the fallout continues from NBC's interview with John Fetterman, the first sit-down interview that he did after his stroke, which revealed that he not only has a hard time speaking, but he has a hard time understanding language. So he has to have a transcription device that prints out what is said so that he can read it because his brain can process the written words. So the entire liberal media industrial complex doing damage control. Here are the old bags at The View, severely upset.
I thought it was inappropriate that she said during small talk before our interview.
Maybe she's bad at small talk. Maybe it was her.
Maybe it's her. I just feel that, you know, I don't know if it was an off-the-record conversation, if the entire interview was off the record, but I know, Sarah, you've interviewed people. We interview people, and we have small talk before. That is generally not something that you mention.
If you missed yesterday's video, if you didn't see the clip from NBC, when she was doing her report, she said that before the interview, during small talk, without the transcription device, that she said she didn't think that he understood anything that she was saying. Okay, and so they're complaining, the small talk is off the record. She didn't reveal what the small talk was. She was actually just surprisingly doing her job as a reporter and reporting on the condition of John Fetterman. So, of course, the old bags are upset about that, but it gets even better.
During when you're being interviewed by an anchor. The other thing that I had a problem with when she's describing all of this, I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I love closed caption. I watch all of my series closed caption.
Nobody watches their television with closed caption on unless you're like in the gym on the treadmill or something. I watch all of my series with closed caption on. It gets even better, however, because a disability advocate has said that because NBC revealed that he is severely disabled, that will, quote, increase violence against disabled people, which is one of the most insane things that I've ever heard. Nobody wants to hurt disabled people. Oh, and I did find a photo of John Fetterman not wearing a hoodie. Surprisingly, wearing an actual suit, which again, I think is dumb. I totally would understand if he doesn't want to wear a tie or even a sports jacket. You know, you want to go out there. Ties are stupid. I saw a couple comments in yesterday's video. What's wrong with ties? They're uncomfortable. They're stupid. It's a dumb tradition that goes back to what they say where you like wrapping protection around your neck so you don't get stabbed in medieval times or whatever. Okay, it's stupid. But anyway, here he is wearing a suit. And of course, he's still trying to cover up that conjoined twin that's growing out of his neck. In other news, the fallout also continues surrounding Kanye West after he changed the entire conversation about anti-whiteism by wearing a White Lives Matter shirt alongside his friend Candace Owens during his fashion show in Paris. But then he also made some other comments that got many people upset, including many establishment Republicans.
My understanding, Will, of what he said is that he claimed that his buddy P. Diddy, who you saw there in the Instagram post, was being controlled by Jewish, corporate Hollywood types. That was what I understand what was the statement, which then they said was anti-Semitic and, referenced some tropes. And so then they had to cut him down.
Meghan McCain, John McCain's annoying neocon daughter, who was one of the co-hosts of The View, her husband, Ben Domenech, who I think is a host on Fox News. I've seen him hosting shows on Fox News. I don't know if he still is. But he is very upset at Candace Owens for not completely denouncing Kanye West. It says that Candace isn't fighting the culture war. She's fighting for TMZ coverage. Yeah, how dare she culture jam the liberal media industrial complex using a celebrity friend of hers to finally get people to start talking about certain issues that have been taboo, like white people's lives matter. As expected, Ben Shapiro is very upset with Kanye.
Kanye decided that he was going to go full anti-Semitic. Kanye West anti-Semitic. Kanye West saying an anti-Semitic thing, saying crazy anti-Semitic things, which is anti-Semitism. Kanye West said some anti-Semitic things. And there are no two ways about this. The things that he said are not just like a little anti-Semitic, they're very anti-Semitic. This is all really bad stuff. Suffice to say, this is all very anti-Semitic and really, really bad stuff. He is saying openly anti-Semitic stuff. They are anti-Semitic. I mean, there's no two ways about them. Be no sympathy for anti-Semitic statements, I think, is a fairly decent rule when it comes to situations like this one. So again, this is an anti-Semitic trope that basically you can't say bad things about Jews.
Kanye also just did an interview with LeBron James for a show on HBO called The Shop Uninterrupted, which was interrupted and censored. And they say that they're not going to air that interview anymore because Kanye West made certain statements that they deemed to be hate speech. You may have heard that Chase Bank decided to close Kanye West's account. And Candace Owens unfortunately gave the impression that it was because of the recent comments that he had made, although they made that decision to close his account prior to him even wearing the White Lives Matter shirt, because he apparently was insulting the bank itself, so they decided to close his account. So they are closing his account, but at least it doesn't have anything to do with him making comments about certain things, although banks have closed other people's accounts. I just heard that they closed Cat Turd's account. I don't know much about Cat Turd, but it's a popular Twitter account. President Trump has retweeted them several times, and their bank is being closed. Also, as I've reported before, Gab has had, I think, 4 different banks close their business accounts now. Gab.com, the Twitter alternative, the free speech Twitter alternative. Again, it doesn't have an app, so you have to go to Gab.com, and then you can save the website on your home page or your home screen on your phone.
So Herschel Walker, he's no man's dummy. He came out a couple of weeks ago and said, I'm going to get killed in the debate. I'm going to get killed. This guy is a preacher. He's used to talking all the time. I don't do this.
I'm just a country boy.
I'm a country boy. Mm-hmm. And the country boy taught the city boy a few things, I think. It went shockingly really well for, and I say shockingly because he said, I'm going to suck. He did not suck. I don't think it was a clear knockout, but he did really well.
Yeah, there's a way that you have a candidate who's a celebrity, who's never done this before, in his first ever debate like this. There's a story that goes, unfortunately, that ends in his campaign being destroyed. Right?
Yes,
he gets on stage, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he screws up, whatever. That did not happen at all in this debate.
Fact that they don't have a potato thing, like Dan Quayle,
right,
on this guy's first debate and only debate is quite a victory.
Yeah, he did well. He was prepared for the lines of attack that he expected to come from Warnock, which were very predictable. Warnock, I think, came off as incredibly slimy. That would be the word that I would use to describe his performance. He's somewhat polished, right? He as Herschel Walker pointed out, the guy's a preacher. He's been speaking publicly his entire life. Right. So it was not like he was
not hard.
He was stumbling over his own words, or he didn't know he looked flustered all the time. But he went to arguments that were obviously not real. He was asked about does he have any restrictions on abortion, and as usual, even though he was asked, be clear, be specific, do you have any restriction on abortion all the way up to the last month, did not answer the question, avoided it, and he just filibustered these times. And I think the average person in Georgia could look at this and be like, all right, this guy just doesn't want to answer any of these questions.
Right.
I mean, that's a problem.
So let's go through some of the cuts. Here is Warnock, cut 13, talking about Black Lives Matter.
Because he told me Black Lives Matter. And if you think about it, Senator, in Atlanta, Georgia, there's more black baby that is aborted than anything. So if Black Lives Matter, why are you not protecting those babies? And instead of aborting those babies, why are you not baptizing those babies?
What a great line. Probably the best one. Here he is on life.
I said, that's a lie. And most thing I put it in a book. One thing about my life is I've been very transparent. Not like the senator, he's hid things. But at the same time, I said that's a lie. And on abortion, I'm a Christian. I believe in life. And I tell people this, Georgia is a state that respects life, and I'll be a senator that protects life. And I said that was a lie, and I'm not backing down. And we have Senator Warnock, people that would do anything and say anything for this seat, but I'm not going to back down because this seat is too important to the Georgia people for me to back down right now.
Here he is on also not backing down on support of Donald Trump.
Walker, former President Trump is also considering a run for the White House in 2024. If you can give me a simple yes or no answer, and we'll give you time to explain as well, would you support a Trump 2024 run?
Yes, I would. And let me tell you, President Trump is my friend. Has nothing to do with that. He's my friend. I won't leave my allies, which is what Senator Warnock and Joe Biden did in Afghanistan. They left their allies.
Jeez.
They left their allies, and right now on a foreign stage, a lot of these people don't trust us no more. They don't trust us to be strong anymore. So they're waiting to see who's going to stand up, who's going to trust. They have no one to trust right now because I said President Trump is my friend, and he won't stand up with Biden when yet he's voted with him 96% of the time. Let's be real.
You know, it's interesting because when he says he doesn't want to stand up with Biden, that comes from a moment in the debate where he would not say, just right before this question was asked, he would not say whether he would support Joe Biden running in 2024. He wouldn't say that should he run in 2024. He was like, I'm not thinking about, I haven't put one moment of thought into 2024. Are you kidding me? This is 2022. It's a few weeks away. I haven't even thought about that. I have to cross my mind one time. Now, does anybody believe that the senator from Georgia has not thought about the 2024 election? Everyone watching that knew he was lying. And look, you may or may not like Donald Trump, but what you do know when you watch Herschel Walker answer that question is he's not lying. He's just telling you, you know what? You might not like Trump, and he might not be your friend. He might not be your kind of guy. I support him. He's my ally. I'm sticking with him. That was, I think, a really powerful part and talking about how both Warnock and Biden were arguing that everything went well in Afghanistan as we abandoned all of our allies there was a really powerful way of tying that all together. I mean, again, that's not something that a guy who's never been in a debate before can usually pull off.
Yeah, he did really well because it seemed totally natural. Let me go to cut 4, Herschel Walker.
You know, I believe in reducing insulin, but at the same time, you got to eat right because he may not know, and I know many people that's on insulin, and unless you have eating right, insulin is doing you no good. So you have to get food prices down, and you got to get gas down so they can go get insulin. And you continue to pat yourself on the back, but right now, families are starving. Right now, families are hurting, and they're hurting because of the bills and the laws you're passing right now.
Do you know that 6 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? They just are barely making it. They've had to cut back on everything. 6 out of 10. And the economy is booming?
Yeah, I know. And this goes to, there's a New York Times article today with an amazing headline. It's Democrats spent $2 trillion to save the economy. They don't want to talk about it.